I have been out of the game for at least a year at this point. And Live is bringing me back with the new Terapagos EX. Its attack is reminiscent of one of my favorite Pokemon in the game. The original Do the Wave Wigglytuff. Anything that does a bunch of damage for the benched Pokemon is going to be of interest to me. As you can tell by the numbers up in the top right, I definitely have played Live before, but it has been a while. Also, you'll notice our deck is definitely not fully refined, with only a single copy of the Noctowl. We are going to be using the level 1 Battle Pass deck, though I did make some modifications to try making it work before we unlock the rest of the cards later in the pass. Obviously, additional Terapagos and Area 0 Underdepths would be preferred. So in the meantime, I am running a little bit of a janky list. Rotom V is in the deck, as Terapagos isn't able to attack on the first turn. So I think it'll be good regardless of whether we're going first or second. Additionally, we only own the one Fan Rotom, so I have geared up my deck in order to do this as consistently as possible. Not only are we running the cards like Buddy Buddy Coffin and Nest Ball to find our Fan Rotom and Terapagos early, we are also using 4 Trekking Shoes and 4 Gutsy Pickaxe, and this is going to help us dig through the deck as much as humanly possible, with 8 additional Psycho cards and 12 Searchers. Finding this Rotom and getting ourselves set up should be simple, as long as we haven't prized it. Additionally, I'm currently on the Hero's Cape, as along with Buffalant, Terapagos should be pretty difficult to one-shot. I'm also running 1 Colossus Tenacity, though this may get cut if I have more Underdepths later on. I think the deck's biggest problem is going to be only having the 2 attackers, but maybe we will be able to take home a win anyway. Let's go ahead and give it a shot. I am not entirely confident with this, but we are going to try our best. And as we level up the Battle Pass, we will be a little bit more prepared later on. The deck will incrementally improve itself. It looks like we are going first, which should be preferable. Terapagos is not able to attack even when going second, so having a turn to set up is pretty convenient. Our opponent opens with a Pecharunt. But let's go ahead and bring down the Buddy Buddy Coffin. And unfortunately, it looks like we have gone ahead and prized the Rotom. In that case, we are just going to set up the ones we can. Let's filter with the Pickaxe. Do we attach a Fighting Energy or not? We're going to be able to use the Luminion on the next turn to make sure we get 2 Unified Beatdown. But is that going to be enough? I say no reason not to attach, though the reason would be the Ultra Ball here. Well, if we use the Luminion, we can actually use it to grab a Professor's Research, which I did add into the deck. So let's Ultra Ball. And just set up as many as we can. Also, the Rotom B is a solid choice here, as it gives us a little bit more of a chance to draw into other cards that will help us. Instant Charge for 3. And we just drew more cards that are going to draw us more cards later. Starting off with an Earthen Vessel. I'm going to get them those basic energies and trigger their dark patches. Assuming that is currently legal. But they only bring in 1 energy for reasons unknown. I'd assume normally you would want to switch in 2. Alright, they use Iono, which is just as well. Unfortunately, we did not set up our Bidoof last turn. Fortunately, though, Forest Seal Stone on the Rotom V is going to be able to get us to the Stadium card. Though Noctowl might be able to do it as well. Alright, we see a Dark Patch on a Roaring Moon. And the bad thing about this matchup is that Frenzied Gouging is able to one-hit KO the Terapagos, no matter how many resources we invest in its bulk. Hero's Cape, Boafalant, these types of cards will not matter. Let's go ahead and definitely use the Noctowl. Dual Seeker activates, and it gives us any 2 trainer cards. Fortunately, Stadiums are indeed a type of trainer. And we also want to grab a Nest Ball in order to round out the bench with our other Terapagos EX for later. We'll go ahead and play down the Underdepths. Pokestop has a chance of discarding a card we need, so I'm not interested in doing that right now. Terapagos EX, a great start. Then Boafalant to activate the trigger here. Finally, Buddy Buddy Poffin can get both Bidoof and a Pidgey to fully clear our bench. Force Seal Stone on the Rotom, as we are still in need of an energy in order to play the game. Star Alchemy will get us a fighting energy. Though it could also grab the Colress. Alright, and Unified Beatdown for 240 damage, finishing off their first Pokemon. Roaring Moon still needs 2 energy in order to actually swing in and clear out our Pokemon. So we should be in an okay spot. Welcome, Mia. Unfortunately, there is not trading in this game. However, in October, or really, it's better to say November, Pocket, which is another Pokemon card game, will come out and have trading in it. And assuming that they don't restrict the trades to local players, I would definitely be interested in doing some trades with other community members. Alright, so they have attached a Darkness Energy onto the Roaring Moon, but are they going to be able to get another one onto the board? I'm aware of Dark Patch plus Energy Switch, but as a returning player, I'm not sure if they have other ways to do big energy transfers. Wait, I suppose they did it somehow. I did not see the Vitality come down, but that is going to KO our Terapagos. Fortunately, it does do a ton of damage, to the Roaring Moon. And so we have another Terra in play. We don't need to worry about discarding our bench. However, we do need to worry about finding a double colorless energy. And we start with the evolution into Bibarel. Then, Nest Ball can thin the deck for a Pheasantipity EX, which is going to let us draw 3 additional cards. But we are going to play it in a way to maximize the Bibarel. Dragon Shoes is up next. And that is another draw card, so we don't need it. We'll just take whatever the pickaxe was going to give us anyway. Another Nest Ball. Unfortunately, not a playable card. So, draw 1 from Bibarel. And then we draw 3 from Pheasantipity. And we find the Luminion. But that is not going to do it for us. Unfortunately, none of these Pokemon have a 0 retreat cost. So as much as I would like to play Switch, and then switch back out after Professor's research, that is not going to be an option. What we need to do is research and try to draw into a double colorless. With 7 draws and 4 in the deck, we are relatively likely to hit it. And we do. Double Turbo Energy plus a Hero's Cape. And now we are in a pretty good spot. One of our Trekking Shoes to dig through the deck. And we find yet another pickaxe. Unified Beatdown KOs the Frenzied Moon. Oh, and welcome, Harold. I hope you're enjoying the stream so far. We're on our first game of the evening. And I am definitely open to both any gameplay tips or deck building advice you might have. So, as I said earlier, we are in a bit of a pinch here. We only have 2 Terrapagos in our deck. As the Battle Pass, as she says, just downloaded the game yesterday. I have been playing maybe 3 or 4 days myself. Just in time to get the Charizard deck, and then this one as well. Interestingly, we see them go for a boss's order here. Trying to KO the Pheasantipity, or maybe just stall it. However, unfortunately for them, we have the Area 0 Underdepths. Are we able to Nest Ball anything? No. Now, that is a bit of a problem. If there are no additional basics in the deck, then, this means there isn't a way for us to boost our damage output. We only need 2 more prize cards. But how do we get them? I think Puffin needs to go. And then we could Tenacity. But we aren't able to find any more copies of the Underdepths anyway. I say we research. Find some additional cards. And then oh, we are running out of cards in the deck. That is a problem. And we just switch in the Terrapagos. Take a KO on Radiant Greninja, and then try to finish off the Roaring Moon in the end here. Down to our final prize card. And interestingly, if they use the Frenzied Gouging to actually be able to finish it off. As the Roaring Moon leaves itself with only 30 health. So, SG, how have you been enjoying the game so far? You mentioned it is goofy, but I don't think that necessarily means bad. We see them milling their own deck with the Pokestop, and they are actually also on the trekking shoes. But what are they looking for? Presumably, they are going to need a way to get 2 energy into play this turn. Otherwise, they won't be able to attack with either of their Pokemon. Dark Patch is going to be able to do it, but they are going to need another attach or an energy switch, and then a way to bring in the Roaring Moon from the bench. Attacking with this one should be just a teeny bit too slow. Alright, we see a boss. That is interesting. Carrying the Fezandipity is actually going to do it for them. Unlike the Terrapagos, Fezandipity with only 210 attack is not strong enough to withstand the Roaring Moon. We are going to evolve the Pidgeotto. Then, we are going to retreat the Fezandipity. Terrapagos enters the field, and then it reattaches the energy. After that, let's look at our count. Both of our boss's orders are in the graveyard, so there is going to be no gusting. Unified Beatdown will prevent Roaring Moon from using Frenzied Gouging anymore. And then if they go for a Calamity Storm, Terrapagos will not be KO'd. And this means this should be checkmate. SG says, using the Giratina deck. No interaction on the opponent's turn, and the supporter cards seem too good. That is definitely a fair assessment coming from a Yu-Gi-Oh! Background. Cards like Professor's Research or even Chorus's Experiment are incredible sources of draw power that a TCG player or a Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG player would not normally find. So I suppose in a Rush Duels, there is a similar level of drawing cards each turn. This is unfortunate. Roaring Moon, if it's able to one-hit KO the Terrapagos, I don't have... Wait, is that it? Oh. I see. I thought this was a 70X, and not a 70 plus 10. That is significantly weaker than I had expected. So, I don't have a way to KO it this turn, and I don't have any Gust either. Let's go ahead and swing in with Unified Beatdown. And hopefully next turn we can finish this. But I think the Giratina deck is actually pretty fun. It might be a little bit outclassed at this point, but I'm actually really not sure. I know when I was playing, about a year ago, it was considered a pretty good deck. But power creep will always do its thing. Though, on the other hand, I am reasonably sure that the Mew VMAX deck maintained viability the entire time it was in the standard format. Alright, so we see the the Roaring Moon coming in. Frenzied Gouging is going to take a KO on the Terrapagos. However, with 200 self-damage, we will claim our final prize card. Another copy of the trekking shoes. The opponent gets a couple of cards for themselves, but that is going to be it for this one. And we are off to a 1-0 start. Oh, and that is going to increase our level, giving us 200 crystals. Crystals, for those of you unfamiliar, are used to buy the battle pass, and then also to buy individual packs in the store. Though, as in most games, the battle pass is definitely the biggest value. Finishing our daily mission gives us a little bit of crystals, but also the next tier of rewards, including a Hyper Aroma, which we are not going to be using in this deck. There's also a little bit of support for the Galvantula deck, which we are not currently running. It seems like it is set up to repeatedly item lock the opponent in a way where you re-accelerate the energy every single turn. Yeah, the Cramorant is definitely my favorite card from the Lost Box strategy. Alright, so now here is the classic live experience. The pink boxes, the glitches. I am starting to remember why I had stopped playing the game. I'm really hoping Pocket will not share these issues. So the reason I have so many crystals is because before Live existed, there was a game called Pokemon Trading Card Game online. And playing that, when they changed the collection, we basically got a bunch of bonus crystals for all the packs we had unopened in our inventory. So a lot of players were able to prepare and are really set up to get all the cards they could possibly want in Live. This seems terrible, especially for Stage 2. So we are going to be ignoring the Venusaur EX. It has a set of attacks and an ability. I think if the game was perfect, that is the kind of power level I would like to see. And welcome, Potatoes. Thank you for the reminder. Spartacus is banned. Is it right for me to see, or like leave a message to myself so I can see when they got banned? I'm not really sure. So, Potatoes, what have you been up to lately? Are you still making, or I think, are you the one that was making the, Structure Deck series for Duel Links? Or was that another potato-themed person? I know it's been a while since we've talked either way. Alright, so we open them with, oh, that's a different potato. No problem. Sorry for the confusion. Alright, so we are opening with 2 Pidgeotto. And the Noctowl. This is not ideal, but we are going to be able to ditch the Pidgeotto, and the Fighting Energy, swing on the Double Turbo, bring in our Rotom, and then set up our bench for later. Looks like we are up against a Charizard deck. And with Buddy Buddy Poffin, they are going to be in a pretty good spot. Normally, the Charmander deck's biggest weakness is that they are going to get KO'd on the first turn. And you're going to need a ton of duplicates to make sure Boss's Orders doesn't mess up your strategy. But Tervapagos EX is inherently just a little bit slower. In exchange for not being an evolution Pokemon the same way Aeronautics VMAX was, or Mega Rayquaza. Tervapagos simply can't attack on the first turn. But it seems the opponent has conceded and given us the win here. Must not have been a very strong hand. Oh, you know what? I actually was thinking of playing some Digimon myself. Unfortunately, I know when the game first came out, the online simulators were shut down by the company. Though I did hear that recently another project for a different unofficial simulator was allowed to maintain existence. So I might need to retry it. I own a couple of the starter decks IRL, but that is all the experience I have. And obviously I think the game has definitely changed a ton in the 17 or so expansions that have been released. Alright, so no basics here. By the way, I'm actually not really convinced on the Pidgeot line here. I don't think I've actually successfully set it up at all yet. But it is mostly there to fill things out. I'm gonna lead with the Pidgey, as my opponent is gonna be getting the first move. And I need to make sure these Tervapagos are well protected. Alright, Pidgey, Buddy Buddy Poffin, Rotom for sure is the first one we want to grab. And then we'll grab Bidoof as well. After that, Fan Rotom is able to bring 3 Pokemon into our hand. So we obviously need to grab the Noctowl to evolve our Hoodoo on the next turn. Our bench is looking like it might be getting pretty full. So we'll also bring in a Pidgeotto, as if they don't KO, Pidgey will now have a free retreat. Click done. And then Hoodoo, Boephalon, and Tervapagos are in play. We have all our trekking shoes, but I don't think there's anything we want to get with them. Turn 1 is more or less complete. So in case they have an Iono, we want to put the trekking shoes on the bottom of our deck, rather than whatever else we could draw. So potatoes. I actually have also a little bit of experience with Pokemon Showdown and the official VGC tournaments as well. Though it been a really long time. Oh, I think we just saw a Hisuian Heavy Ball swapping out one of their prize cards for the Fezandinity EX. Ultra Ball, that looks like a Gen 5 version. If I'm not mistaken, that should be like, the Plasma with, so with Digimon, finding people to play with and stores stocking this product is the hardest part. And this is also going to be true of the other smaller TCGs, such as Celestrals or Digimon. Or Neopets. Unfortunately, we are a little bit bricked here. Can't do too much with this. Losing our Noctowl is pretty devastating. I could switch in the Tervapagos to try drawing a card. But if I draw another energy, I'd rather have the ability to do that. Unfortunately, I need to pass here. I think the internet disconnecting. Body connection. It has been plaguing me for over a year at this point. But there's just nothing I have been able to do to fix it. The internet where I live is just pretty bad. Hopefully it's able to stick around. I even try, resetting the router and everything before I go live to minimize the issues. And there is another disconnect, reconnect combo. I couldn't tell you whether it's Twitch or YouTube is going to be the better option for this. Yeah, I did try restarting the router already, but it didn't seem to do much. Alright, so we find a nest ball, and that is useful for letting us grab a Pheasantipity EX and potentially play with the extra 3 cards we draw here. And Ultra Ball is going to get us to the all-important Noctowl. Oh, welcome, Justin. Sorry for all of the issues with the stream today. Hopefully it'll be a little bit more stable from here on out. Jewel Seeker will allow us to grab Area 0 Underdepths. And the... I suppose we only need one additional Pokemon on the bench here for maximum damage. But more importantly, we are going to need an energy card. So, I think we're just gonna go with research to dig as far into the deck as we can. So next up is Underdepths to increase our bench size. Hoodoo, Nest Ball, grabbing the second Puafalant, and then the other Terrapagos. We will switch in this Terrapagos, then in Scissors for 3, and anything we aren't able to play, we will discard. But we do actually get where we need to go. Double Turbo Energy on Terrapagos. So I could boss something up, as I'm dealing 220 damage. And that would be enough to KO one of their bench liabilities. Unfortunately, we only have 3 Gust effects in our deck. So as much as I would love to just Gust Rotom, Pheasantipity, and Lumineon, we are not going to be able to do so. We are going to have to go through a Meowscarada at some point. But all that said, Pheasantipity is still a great option for a KO. Removing their support cards early means an Iono late in the game is going to be the most effective. That's when it says back in XY. Used to play online randoms with Fan Rotom as a read, or as the lead. It is definitely the worst Rotom, but still love the little guy. I do know there is a meme in the community about running a Fan Rotom with Air Balloon, as Fan Rotom, I believe, is the only flying type Pokemon with access to the Levitate ability, allowing it to double the amount of ground immunities it has. And the Air Balloon adds in another. From a competitive standpoint, I think Wash Rotom and maybe Heat Rotom have been the winners. But I'm personally a fan of the Mo Rotom myself. Alright, so we see scratching nails. But thanks to the power of our Buiffalont, we just barely managed to hang in there. We could Ultra Ball to bring ourselves down to 0 cards in hand. And then drop back up with the Bibarel. Is this worth it? I'm not really sure. I mean, I would like another Boss's Orders to grab the Lumineon KO, but I also don't necessarily want to trigger a Briar either. I'm gonna go with Industrion, or with the Industrious Scissors. And now, our board is set up for whenever they do get a KO, Nest Ball can bring in a Rotom, and Rotom can equip the 4 Steel Stone. So, we are in a pretty good position. All we need to do is swing in a Meowscarada, KO it with our other Terapagos on the next turn, and then finish the game with a Gust into the Lumineon. And I think this is a reasonable plan of action. Justin is saying, over in Duel Links, unlocked Rin and Lulu at the same time. And also, Heat Robotom is a good Pokemon. I'll be honest, I have logged in and out of Duel Links a little bit to grab the Cyber Dragon deck. But I didn't even realize the event I was running was a dual unlock. So I definitely feel like I did miss out there. Alright, so we see this Sprigatito is setting up for its next Meowscarada Rare Candy play. With Pidgeot EX on the board. We could be in for some trouble here. Obviously, we bring in our other Terapagos. We are going to KO the Meowscarada this turn. All we need to do is Nest Ball. Grab Rotom V. Attach the 4 Steel Stone to Rotom V. Then, Ultra Ball, discarding 2 cards. And then we could add a Pokemon to our hand, but we don't need to. This will allow us to draw an extra card with the Bibarel. And all we're looking for is a double Turbo Energy. After this, let us spin the deck once more with another Ultra Ball. And this time, we are actually going to get a Pokemon into our hand, as our other card draw is not restricted by the number of cards currently in hand. Serendipity EX activates Flip the Script. All we're looking for is an energy, and we do it. And since we have this in mind, we are actually going to be okay to sit on this. We aren't going to need to use our Force Seal Stone. And we can save it for a boss's orders on the next turn to finish up this game. Meowscarada falls. And we grab 2 additional prize cards. Even if they are able to do something to the Rotom, our Lumineon V in hand will be able to gust that Lumineon. The only way that they can win is by defeating the Terapagos EX this turn. And thinking about it, perhaps I should have actually used the Force Seal Stone to grab the Hero's Cape. I have not been diligent in checking how much damage that Meowscarada actually does. If the Buffalon are not able to protect it from the KO, we are in a ton of trouble. I wish there was a way to not have to do the math. We have 180 HP remaining. This attack does 220 or 250 after the bouquet magic. 250 is probably going to be enough. Oh, but we see a Buffalon with a boss or a prime catcher trying to stall for another turn. This could be good news for us. However, we are going to need another double turbo energy in order to retreat, and then also to have a way to go into a boss's orders. And we only have a single search here. So that is actually going to be completely fine. All we need to do is activate Star Alchemy. And if we KO this Sprigatito, there isn't anything else they're going to be able to do about it. So double turbo energy comes to our hand. We equip the Buffalon with the double turbo, retreat, and KO the Sprigatito that they left for us. Why am I being stuck now? There it goes. Hopefully the internet does not crash again. We are being in Terapagos. And then grabbing a KO with our unified beatdown attack. We are only going to have a single card in hand if they hit us with an Iono. However, boss's orders is in the deck, and it is not in our hand. We will draw one, and then Bibarel will get us the rest of the way. Theoretically. There is also always the issue of if they do KO our Terapagos, we are going to be in for some trouble. Or this Pidgeot, if they grab a double turbo energy, will be able to discard the Area 0 Underdepths and reduce our damage output considerably. We'll have to wait and see just how much of an impact it has. Alright, we see that Buffalon is brought in again. And once again, we find ourselves in need of double turbo energy. There is only a single one left in the deck. Alright, we must discard 3 of our Pokemon. But we do have several bench sitters lurking around. I would like to equip Hero's Cape over on Terapagos. Then, I can try digging for the boss's, well, I can't dig with the boss's orders with a research, but I can try to get into our other double colorless energy. Wait, we have a Core Resist Tenacity to do just that. Area 0 under depths and the double turbo energy added to hand. Let's equip this energy. Retreat, bring in Terrapagos one more time. Then attach another Area 0 under depth. And I think we still want to keep the Luminion in case another Iono comes out. We don't want to put the boss's orders in our hand preemptively. So, Unified Beatdown is going to deal over half of Pidgeot's maximum health. Oh, I actually did not know Wizard 101 was still kicking. Are they still updating the game in its MMO style? Or is it going to be like a buy it once purchase? I'm interested to see how it gets handled. My favorite Pokemon is Porygon 2. I think it is pretty cute and a good representative of Pokemon as a whole. Unfortunately, in the card game, its last good appearance is many years ago. A couple of the Porygon Z's have seen play, but most of the time you are skipping over the middle stage with a rare candy. Alright, so we are seeing an Alakazam move damage onto our Terrapagos. However, thanks to our Hero's Cape, we are still standing pretty strong. Instant Charge passing the turn, and that means we are going to be able to get there. We do not need Buddy Buddy Poppin'. So we draw another card, and there it is, Boss's Orders. 160 damage. Bring in Pidgeot. And that is another win for the Terrapago stack. And we are somehow doing this with only a couple of options. With only 2 Terrapagos and 2 of the Field Spell. That'll be another 160 points for the Battle Pass. Oh, and I only just noticed we're out of Pikachu and into Score Bunny. The highest I've ever gotten was over in the Houndoom area, as each month resets your rank a pretty significant margin. If I get really into the game, maybe I'll try to make it all the way to Ultra League. But a lot of the time, these extra rewards aren't really all that worth it. Arceus League does have a pretty good reward in the crate, which has like 3 or 4 guaranteed strong cards in it. But like, I think this has too much going on. I do not want the gold rare version of Terrapagos because I can barely make out what is happening. Obviously, kind of like in Duel Links, it does not reset you all the way to the bottom each season. So, making it all the way up one time could be worth it, as it'll become easier and easier in the months afterwards. Yeah, so the Porygon line does usually get some decent or wacky abilities. However, trying to evolve Pokemon is just not very good. You'll notice our Terapagos is a basic, and most of the good support Pokemon are also either basic or stage 1s. I'm running that 2/2/2 Pidgeot, but Pidgeot is only particularly strong. If you're already, would be a good choice here, as it has to set up. But then we also need something like a Charmanders, but Charcadets. So this is presumably then going to be a Charizard deck rather than Gardevoir. Nest Ball will bring us to the Terapagos we need. And then another Nest Ball. And we still don't have a Hoodoo on the bench with 4 Pokemon down. So I'm going to add it, Noctowl, and the other Pokemon to our hand. No, I agree with you. Plus minus, I think they should really restrict the EX Pokemon to being big stage 2 attackers. They need to make a pretty big effort to make them viable. I suppose Trekking Shoes could be up next, but we also could discard it to go for our Rotom. I don't think Iono makes a ton of sense here. So instead we just Rotom, and there is the Area 0 Underdepths. Obviously, if we were able to draw into it a little bit earlier, we would have been able to put down the Hoot Hoot, who I probably should have played over the Pidgey here. Noctowl was in hand and ready to go. I'm pretty sure this one has an ability to move energy around. This has obviously been in the game for a very long time, and is consistently a member of pretty good strategies. The old Mega Gardevoir deck, or Xerneas EX, I believe, made use of a fairy version of this ability. And I'm pretty sure that grass types have had something similar in the past. Now they made a text box Pokemon requiring evolutions under it recently. A rule box Pokemon requiring evolutions. I mean, there is a Pidgeot EX. They just aren't exclusively tied to evolutions. But if you're referring to a Pokemon like a Gardevoir EX evolving into Mega Gardevoir EX, the previous generation did a similar thing with Pokemon V and Pokemon VMAX. However, evolving into them did not end your turn. And they were pretty strong overall. Alright, so we see the opponent actually doing nothing here. That is usually going to be a pretty good sign for us. Let's go ahead and swing down all the other Pokemon we are able to get. Research is actually pretty good here. I will put it into my hand. Losing the Noctowl is a bit of a shame, but I think it is going to be worth it. Obviously, a switch and a double energy are exactly what we're looking for, and it is exactly what we find. Let's equip, switch out, bring in Terapagos, play down a Pidgeotto, get that evolution going. And that's everything we need for this turn. We even have a boss's order ready for next time. So, I think actually we're going to play one more thing. Ultra Ball will discard 2 to give us our Bibarel. And with that, our setup is essentially complete. We are able to draw back on up to 5 cards. And our Pidgeotto EX is in hand and ready to go. Monkey Dory is falling to the Unified Beatdown. And we are claiming the first prize of the game. Thank you, Justin. I'm glad you enjoy the model. There is also another version of it that I plan to use if I play in any tournaments. Where I replace the hoodie with a different outfit. Basically, the hoodie is for casual mode. And there's a more serious version. Alright, so Chorus' Tenacity is going to grab them a Stadium and an Energy. Unfortunately, Stadium bumping this Area 0 Underdepths is a bit problematic for us. We can discard the Fan Rotom. And the Hoodoo as well. As we've already discarded our only Noctowl in the deck. Everything else seems pretty good though. I want to keep the Rotom V around, as it is a method of searching for anything with the 4 Seal Stone. However, with Pidgeot EX, we are able to repeat that effect. And we are going to do it next turn to get our other Stadium. Obviously, with Chorus' Tenacity being played, they are not able to Iono us this turn. And that means Charmander is probably going to be going down as well. Though, that Bibarel is a pretty tempting grab as well. I have no idea what they just played. A card of theirs has just vanished into the ether. It is a TM Evolution. I'm going to bring in a Pidgeotto. Very interesting. I do not know what the Iron Leaves is here for, though. I end up with another Charmander from the Buddy Butter Coffin. They are getting in a pretty good spot. Armorage will move the Fire Energy onto the Charmander, allowing them to evolve their bench. Seems like a pretty good plan to me. Now, our question is, what do we actually want to KO with our boss's orders? Wait, there is no Pidgeotto. That is huge. As we're going to find the rare candy, it is going to be a pretty good part of our game plan now. I could boss up the Charmeleon and take it out. And that seems pretty good to me. As much as I wanted to grab this Colress to replace the field spell, I think I'm just grabbing the double energy by itself. Or maybe another boss's orders for a later turn. There's nothing I actually want right now. So, double turbo energy it is. I guess I could have gone for a regular fighting energy, so it doesn't lose the damage. Boss's orders, bringing in the Charmeleon. And no reason to pickaxe. Unified beat down for 130 damage, removing Charmeleon from the board. One more prize in our belt. option would be to KO the Bibarel itself, but if they already had a Charizard in hand, their play pattern would have made a lot of sense. So I was trying to play around them not having the rare candy, which I think is pretty reasonable, as if they already had a rare candy in hand, they would have played it on the previous turn, instead of making all of this extra moves to try to set up a Charmeleon. I don't remember when Legends comes out, but I do want to stream it if I'm able to. Really gonna depend on when it comes out, and I have no idea what this Legacy Energy does. Alright, so it's a Rainbow Energy. And it also prevents me from taking a prize from the Iron Leaves. That seems very strong. Anything that makes a 0 prize Pokemon is a little silly. Alright, so fortunately, of course, we do have this Pidgeot EX on the board. So I'll be able to get a switch card on the next turn. And Bibarel will no longer be stuck in the active. Alright, Recovery Net is probably going to get them the Charmeleon again. Charmeleon and Munkidori as expected. I could use Iono here, but as you can tell, they are bricked, so there is no real reason for me to do so. I will quick search, grab ourselves another copy of Double Turbo Energy. I'm going to also switch out the Bibarel. And that is all we need to do to knock out Iron Leaves. Legacy Energy, unfortunately, prevented us from grabbing the prize. But I'm okay with this, assuming they still are digging for that rare candy. Allowing the Charmeleon is not going to be enough, and we will KO it on the next turn. They've even brought the Charmander into the active spot for us. Unfortunately, our Iono is not going to be getting much use for a while. And with Pidgeot, we might be able to just grab another one whenever we need it. Our hand is pretty static. Not a lot of cards we want to have, or I guess I should say, none of these cards have any real reason to be playing them. Alright, so we do see the Charmander in the active does retreat into the Munkidori. I guess all the other Pokemon on the bench also were part of the engine. Okay, Magma Basin, able to revive the energy on the Charmander. Still, Munkidori does not work with fire energy. So, I'm not sure if they just misread it. We see another boss's orders coming down. And unfortunately, that does work for them. As it now means, we might not have a way to both boss the Charmeleon and switch out the Bibarel. Oh, Adrenabrain now triggers thanks to the Luminous Energy. That is pretty clever. Mind Bend is also going to confuse the Bibarel, making retreat harder. I'll need to actually get a switching card in order to do it. So, first up, we are going to be playing our Pickaxe and Trekking Shoes to see what we're able to find. Boss's Orders is a great card Uh, Even if we aren't playing it this turn. Another pickaxe. Into tenacity. Tenacity is going to get us the energy. And a stadium. If we want it. But we drew boss's orders. And that means quick search can get switch. And the opponent is going to continue to be in a pretty perilous predicament. Switch this in. Boss, bring in that Charmeleon. Do not let it escape. I'm pretty sure a Charizard would be enough to start turning the game around, which is why we are doing everything we can to prevent it. Ultra Ball, going to help us thin our hand, in case we need to use Bibarel on a future turn to look for something. I agree with plus minus on the status conditions over in Legends Arceus. I thought the quick and strong styles were also pretty fun and resembled the Rapid Strike and Single Strike in the TCG. Alright, so we see Armor Rouge, of course, building up just a little bit more. Oh, and now we actually are in a bit of a predicament. Terapagos. Is going to be confused by Monkey Dory's Adrenabrain. And I don't know if I still need to flip a coin to retreat while confused. You had to back in the day. But I think they may have changed it. So I'm going to be looking this up to see if I'm able to retreat this Terapagos or not. Wikipedia has a page on it. Confused. If it tries to attack, the player may flip or must flip a coin. The current description of Confused was introduced in 2003. Originally, you had to attack itself for 20 instead of 30. And as of the current revision, Confused Pokemon can retreat without taking any additional action. So I am going to be able to swap out this Terapagos guilt-free. However, I have just noticed there is now an Ogerpon on the opponent's field. This card is going to put some pressure on my bench. And they have finally managed to find the rare candy for the Pidgeot EX with a Luminous Energy transferred from Armor Rouge. That Wellspring is going to be able to fire off an attack, and it can even KO nothing. Well, actually no, it can KO the Bibarel, which was part of my strategy to recover from this. I suppose we'll have to wait and see what they do next. I mean, our Terapagos should be able to deal with the Ogerpon very easily. Our Pidgeot is able to go and grab the stadium for us. And then, we just research and then play down a bunch of basics and deal the damage. Seems like a pretty good plan to me. Additionally, the Monkey Dory also still needs to be able to retreat, which they have done. So the next question. Have they attached energy for turn yet? And use the Magma Basin? The answer is no. So now, Armor Rouge is going to be able to transfer all the energy onto Ogerpon. But is this going to be enough? 100 damage, which is going to be reduced all the way down to just 40 of my 310 remaining HP. And here it goes. Who are they going to attack on the bench? Gofalant only takes 60 damage, and Ogerpon just lost all of its health, and more important, all of its energy. This is absolutely crazy for us. Let's start with an Ultra Ball. Discard 2 of our cards, and grab any basic Pokemon we are able to find. Pheasantipity works well enough. Next up, Pidgeot EX. Quick Search is going to bring us our second copy of the Area Zero Underdepths. Not only are we going to leave them with no energy on board, but their Magma Basin is now offline. Pheasantipity and Research. Our Bibarel is even still active, but I don't think we need to use it just yet. Terapagos is at 190, but with a copy of Lumineon on V, that'll become 220 damage. Luminous Sign might as well grab the Briar. And the Ogerpon is worth 2 prize cards. 4 Sealstone on Lumineon V ensures we are able to search any card in our deck on a future turn. We are keeping the double turbo energy to prevent them from using a boss's orders to lock any of our Pokemon in place. Unify to beat down, taking out the Ogerpon. And drawing 2 of our 3 remaining prize cards. Unfortunately, an immediate Magma Basin. Obviously, Hoodoo is dead weight here. And with so few cards left in the deck, I think Bibarel makes sense to get rid of. Finally, Pheasantipity EX. So I'm pretty sure our final prize card is actually our Rotom V. Unless I used it earlier and don't remember it. But the reason I got rid of Pheasantipity instead of Lumineon is just to have the 4 Sealstone. That plus Quick Search from the Pidgeot should keep us safe from just about anything the opponent wants to do. Alright, we see an Iron Hands, but how are they going to be able to fuel and amp you very much? Which I feel like has to be a pun that doesn't quite translate. Like, it's clearly meant to be thank you very much, but amp doesn't have that meaning. Oh, and a welcome desk card. We definitely do or have done a little bit of Yu-Gi-Oh! On the channel before, but we are branching out to some other TCGs. Obviously here we have Pokemon, but I've also been trying out the new Neopets game. I am a big fan of card games in general, and we've actually even played a little bit of a custom TCG I've been making, which is loosely tied to Yu-Gi-Oh! Themed roots. My main inspiration was actually the Wizards and Magic game from the original manga. Um, yeah, um, welcome back, but you know, always good to talk about it. In case anyone else here is new as well. Or not as well, but you get the point. Just trying to explain, or give more context to the comments. Yeah, Justin, that is what I was, looking up. Because apart from this, the last time I played the Pokemon TCG was the Game Boy game. So with that being the most recent memory in my mind, where you did have to flip to retreat, I need to triple check and make sure. Even though I was pretty sure they did change it. Plus minus, you say you can't write crank on a Pokemon card. But then, why is Ian Robb allowed to crank at the World Championships? But I think that makes sense. I do wonder, I'm gonna go look up the Iron Hands here and see what the Japanese name is. Okay, yeah, see, it's like thanks and amplify. So it's like thamplify. But I suppose that only really works if the N and the M are the same, letter. The way they are in Japanese. Anyway, I actually don't have a gust here. So, I'm not carrying this Pidgeot, and I don't think I have a way to get to the Beaverell either. I will just grab an Iono. And this is entirely because I believe it is funny. We are going to Iono ourselves down to 1. And then Unified Beatdown for 130. And we'll see what they do. Our lack of gust is coming to bite us. A third boss's orders is definitely the first card I would consider changing in the deck. Maybe, removing some of those gutsy pickaxes. Or even just the fighting energy itself. The singular fighting energy are definitely a little too slow. But I was wanting them to synergize with the pickaxe. But honestly, so far, it seems like the deck might work perfectly fine with only 4 energy cards in the entire deck. Alright, so we see Pidgeot EX getting plenty of energy here. Unfortunately, I did discard the Pheasantipity. And that would have actually been a pretty good reason to keep it over this Luminion. Being able to bench snipe and finish off the game with it would be quite nice. Even if it would be at 80 or even 60 damage at a time. Alright, so Ampu is coming onto the board. However, we still have 200 HP. So Arm Press is not going to be enough. At least not as far as I can tell. And then if we swing into the Iron Hands, and then they do take a KO on Terapagos. The other Terapagos finishes the job. Oh, what are they aiming for? Luminion V. I see they now have a way to win this game. KOing Luminion V with an Ampio. Is 3 prize cards. Then, KOing the Pidgeotty is another 3 prize cards. However, they apparently did not have any additional damage sources. So, we will go next. 95 points, up to 110, into the Snubble League. I guess we'll go until we lose a game or hit Bulbasaur. So, 2 or 3 games left for the stream. Just because I don't want to get too tired. As I do have stuff to do tomorrow. Which is also part of why I'm streaming right now. Since I'm not going to be able to do the initially planned one later. Honestly, if they were able to pull off the Iron Hands win, I would not have been mad. Like, that was a pretty fun looking line. Alright, the opponent is going first. Opening with a lone Pidgey. Theoretically, we could go for a Call for Family. But attaching an energy seems like a waste there. Alright, Buddy Poffin for the Rotom. And a second one. The Duskull is one I had considered putting into the deck. But right now, I'm focused more on consistency until I'm able to climb the ladder a bit and gain access to those all so important copies of... Do we even need the Fan Rotom? I think with a Nest Ball, we do want to focus on the Pokemon. Buddy Poffin is unable to get. So, Terapagos and our Rotom. Then, Buddy. Hoodoo and Bidoof. No, I think another Pidgey does make sense. Fan Rotom is able to get us to the evolutions for them. However, I think with a full bench, we are able to just kind of do it ourselves on the next turn. We're gonna have Rotom plus an Ultra Ball. And if they put in the Area Zero Underdepths for us, it's not that bad. Because the Nippity onto the board will also let us draw if they KO our Pidgey. Though Noctowl grab, say, Boss's Orders, and the Stadium means they would only need a little bit more. Oh, but they do grab a rare candy with the Noctowl to bring in the Pidgeot. And here comes the Area Zero. Another Terapagos onto the bench. And another Hoodoo. I think getting more Hoodoos and Noctowls is definitely going to be a huge improvement. As I would like to cut these Pidgeotos for a couple of rare candies once they are searchable. Obviously they still need to get the energy, but that might be Pidgeot doing it. Honestly, I think normal types might be my favorite, but Electric and Steel are also pretty good. Alright, so they are bringing in the Rotom B immediately. Going for blood. Obviously, I would like to bring in our Terrapagos. And notably, they did not set up the Buoffalon. Pheasantipity. Evolve. I don't think we need the boss here. We do need to get to an energy card at some point, though. I want to use Pheasantipity first and see what we draw into. 2 Buoffalon and the energy is a solid start. Unfortunately, we are just barely going to be missing the KO on Terrapagos. But we don't need Corus's Tenacity anymore. So I think we Ultra Ball, discarding Tenacity and Pickaxe. And this will let us go into the Noctowl. Noctowl is able to get us the final benched Pokemon, who should be the other Terrapagos. So we grab ourselves a Nest Ball and the Hero's Cape for a little bit more sturdiness. Well, I could have gone for the Ultra Ball instead. But I think this is fine. Nest Ball, the other Terrapagos onto the board. Hero's Cape. And we are in a win-win situation. If they Iono, we get to draw a bunch of cards. And if they don't, we get to play down the Pidgeot EX. So, do they have any liabilities on the board? Unfortunately, no. Unified Beatdown, only 220 damage. Boss's Orders, not able to hit any of those. Though, I suppose maybe I shouldn't have played down the Pheasantipity, as we are now a little bit in danger. Another boss KO is pretty big, putting them at 2 prize cards remaining. Theoretically, we would be able to activate a Briar, but I'm not sure Briar is going to help us with the prize mapping. Hero's Cape is pink, because it is an Ace Spec card. You're only able to have one of them in your deck. This one provides a ton of HP. Another one is basically just Boss's Orders, but it's an item card. There are a few different energies that are also Ace Specs, and some other items and tools, I believe. Alright, so Pidgeot EX activating and looking for something. But what it is, I'm not sure. I think they probably do want to Boss's Order us and KO the Pheasantipity. And then our goal is to kind of just out-tank them with the Terrapagos here. Alright, we see a rare candy into another... oh, into the Dusknoir. That is an issue. We are definitely going to be losing here. Dusknoir is going to take a big KO. And it removes the Buoffalon from play. We do get 1 prize card in exchange for this. But it is definitely not going to be enough. They only have a single prize card remaining, and another Dusknoir, or even a Boss's Order, would be enough to finish it. And here comes another Jewel Seeker. I think that Noctowl looks fantastic. Ultra Ball, helping them thin the deck. Unfortunately, I have no idea what they searched out. Alright, it was the Dusclops. Dusclops, 5 damage, is actually enough to KO the Pidgey. This is actually just lethal. Claiming a crazy 4 prize turn. Like I said, once we are able to upgrade our own deck, this is what it should look like. Wait, why do they not use the Dusclops? They got a KO the Pidgey and won the game on the spot. But now, we theoretically do have a chance to bring in another Pidgeotto and stall this out. Let's quick search. I think that's all we really can do. Pidgeotto, although, no, I should have gone for an Iono. Since I'm pretty sure their hand is already perfectly set up with everything they need to win. That being said, there is a Pidgeotto EX staring us down. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. They're going to be able to search out any card that wins them the game. Alright, here comes the Dusclops. And let's see them finish it off. Quick search, grabbing, presumably the energy card here actually. Or no, just the Dusknoir. Alright, and that is it. Curse Blast taking down our own Noctowl. And would you look at that, we did actually somehow manage to claim 4 prize cards. So even though we lose, the benefit here is that we will gain a little bit of decent Battle Pass experience. Overall, it is going to take until Tier 6 to gain our Area 0 Underdepths, and then Tier 8 for the 4th Terapagos. And then we can round it out at Tier 10. So this will be a few days in the making. But then once those are all in order, we should be okay. We can see another Noctowl is in the Battle Pass at a much more reasonable Tier number 4 and Tier number 2. And honestly, even 2 or 3 Noctowls will be enough to start turning the game to a different build. So their avatar was cursed, I think just because live is a bit of a buggy mess. There are just a lot of things that don't load properly. If you remember earlier, we were seeing a ton of pink squares, or they would search out a card, and they wouldn't show us what it is because the image didn't load in time. I'm assuming their avatar was quite similar. I'm not looking for currency. I was looking for the customization. And they've never added more than just like the 3 default poses. Before we end stream, I think we're gonna go look through all of these. And I change up the intro and victory quotes. And it's just a bunch of puns that some developer was paid to write down. And all of them are water themed apparently. Why are all of them water themed? I mean, I do have the Wingle hat, so it might make sense. I don't know if there are any good other watery outfits. Oh, and a victory quote. I am keeping that one, actually. Alright, so we're looking for anything water-themed. But that is a little bit too on the nose for me. Maybe this one. And that's probably the best option among these. Why do only a few of them show the legs? Oh, I guess it actually includes socks in the outfit. But probably just something like this. I don't think this looks nearly as good as the previous outfit, though. Yeah, maybe I'll just do this one. Wait, is this the one that you mean? Alright, let's go with it. And I think we are in Snubble. We started over in Pikachu. Made some decent progress. I'm gonna go handle some other stuff before heading to bed. Next stream, I'm actually not really sure when it will be. I might be busy the next little while, but I might also be able to find some time to sneak in a few games. We'll have to wait and see how it goes. Thank you to everybody who tuned in, and I'm looking forward to